It's one of the perennial challenges in the arts, the discovery of new talent, and we almost all start out there. Today we're crowdsourcing the search for artists that have remained in the shadows for too long. Those that have eluded the spotlight despite their undeniable talent. Artist Journal, May 24th, 2023, broadcasting live from Geisenfeld, just outside Munich in Bavaria, and New York City on Rug Radio via Twitter Spaces. My name is Adrian Pocabelli, and we welcome back co-host, artist, and conversationalist to the show, Rune Toon. How is your week going?
My week is going exceptional. It's good to be back here.
Well, it's always delightful to hear your voice. You make my job so much easier. Could you imagine me having to do this by myself?
Well, I'm sure you do just fine without me.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I'm more than happy to be here. Talking about under-celebrated artists, just by chance, I feel like I had my most looked at tweet this last week.
I mean, it's perfect. I mean, because you had, to me, that was like, it felt like an order of magnitude kind of shift. It was like, as we say, as we all are saying, when you go on a new blockchain, it brings about a new kind of work. And I just adore that work that you posted the other day.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I had no expectations and no idea that, and not to say that this is getting tons of views. For someone like Uxine or Strange Thing, this would be a bum post.
Yeah.
But for someone who has only roughly 800 something followers, I mean, that's I'm looking at it now and it's got like over 5,000 views, and it's these kinds of moments that are very important for artists who are trying to make it in the space.
Totally, and it's really a tribute, I would say, maybe semi-controversially, to Twitter, because I feel like if you put that out on Instagram, you're not necessarily going to get that same reach. But and it's also
100%,
and it's also a testament to this idea that, even with, say, 800 followers, which is not bad, and, every one of those, I'm sure, is like a real follower. And it's actually, I should mention, it's not super easy to find your account. I don't know if you have a setting, but I always have to put Rune Toon, so it's not super easy. Just a heads up on that.
Yeah, unfortunately, someone took the Rune.
Yeah, so, but, it's great. Like, it shows that it's about the work, right? And so it's a real kind of fun sort of thing. So have you sold any yet? Actually, someone messaged me that they actually picked one up.
Oh, really? I know that I sold one. Here, I'll have to take a look at it.
I think it was DJ Kiro.
Yep, he was the one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How much time do we
have? It's up for a full
Okay,
week.
Awesome.
I went ahead and it looks like someone else. It looks like I sold a second one recently, sometime within the last 24 hours.
Well, feel free to get the festivities started, Rune Toon, by posting your work. And that goes for anybody who is coming up here, who wants to join the festivities here up on stage. And consider it's almost like an open mic night, except it's an open stage, we might say, for you to, talk about artists that, don't have necessarily the reach, or that have just, you feel, have been ignored, whether that's yourself or someone else. And I mean, I think so many of us have been there. I've spent most of my life, in the shadows, so it's been, so this is the opportunity to kind of rectify those wrongs. And I speak as someone who's been there, is what I'm trying to say.
I think we've all been there. And also, I just want to say, instead of sharing my work, I wanted to share this work by Burns the Witch, or El Inquisitor, who I see is in the audience. I thought it kind of fit the vibe of the conversation. So that's what I shared to the Spaces tab here.
That is awesome. And can you remind everybody, including me, on how to post a link on Spaces?
Yeah, so I mean, you'll have to do it from your phone. I know some people who might be operating from a computer, as some of us may already know, you can't speak on Spaces unless it's from the phone, which I really wish that Twitter would figure out a way to make that not the case, because that kind of sucks. But anyways, to share it, you from the phone, you have to go to here. Let me see if I can. There's under any sort of media or tweet or post, there is on the furthest right side this little arrow, kind of like share media, whether you want to share it to text, share
Right.
it by email, share it, and you'll be able to select share to the spaces that you're currently in.
Okay, awesome. So you kind of minimize the space, and then you go to your post. Now, if you're
correct.
Oh, so like, and if I go to a link, let's say on Object, like I don't need to find this link on Twitter, right?
Actually, I'm not really sure if that's true. Actually, I have not tried that. All I know is that I can share anything from Twitter.
Okay.
I'm not sure that I can share things outside of that.
Okay, that's an interesting. Maybe we'll do an experiment if we dare today.
Yeah.
So welcome everybody. Just put a request in, anybody that wants to join us on stage, and we will be more than happy to bring you up here. And it's kind of, and it's also important, like as far as me, say, doing this YouTube show, like I just do what comes my way, as I described, as like a waterfall, and I just kind of put my hand out and grab a few things. So so I just think it's, here's a nice way for other people to kind of share what they think, because a lot of people feel that other stuff should be in there. I get messages, all the time, in a sense. So feel free to take advantage of that. So Runtune, why don't you get us started? Is there anybody, you posted that first link, and what is the name of the artist? Burns the Witch? Is that right?
Burns the Witch is the Twitter handle, but they're in the audience. You'll see their profile. It's El Inquisitor.
Okay, cool.
Who, if you want to come up to the stage and speak, by all means, please feel free. We'd love to hear from you. If not, I understand. But yeah, that's an artist that I honestly have no idea how I came across their work. But I saw their work on Object first and not on Twitter. And here, let me see if I can pull up the first work that I bought by them and share that to the spaces. But I saw this work. They had created a few other works. It was a very simple drawing. I really enjoyed it. At the time, it was cheap. It's no longer that cheap. And I decided to pull the trigger and buy it. Here, I'm going to share it to the space.
Okay, awesome. And look at everybody who showed up here so far. We have RJ. Great to see you, RJ. And again, feel free to come up on stage. RJ has an amazing Twitter feed where you see other artists and everybody. Josh Tornado has great idea, just great, I want to say taste in artists is what I'm trying not to say, Haiti Rocket and everybody. So again, feel free to join us up on stage and continue, Runtune.
Yeah, so I came across this person's work and just really, really enjoyed it. And it's been good to see them kind of continue creating work. And, a lot of times the reason that I buy work is just because I like the artwork. And for me, I'm not really in this space as a collector to make money. I know other people have different interests. I'm an artist. That's my focus. But in the meantime, I always like to support artists that I value, that I feel like I have sort of a connection with. If someone makes me laugh, I buy the work. It's kind of like humor's, I think, one of the easiest ways to get me interested. Here, I'm having a hard time.
All good. I'm looking at L'Inquisiteur right now, and what a great find, Runtune. I've just given L'Inquisiteur, Burns the Witch, a follow. That last piece is fantastic here. This one of one. And again, it's like the Antiques Roadshow show and totally undiscovered, going for 4 Tezos at auction. So that is...
Yeah, okay, here we go.
Yeah, that is impressive. So this is great.
There we go. This is
Yeah, go ahead.
this is the one that I wanted to share. All right, there it is. Yep. Yeah, I really enjoy this artist. And what was I saying? One thing I was kind of saying is like, when I see artists, especially when they're kind of when it seems like they're a little bit newer to object, or they haven't posted a lot of work, for me that's kind of like the call to action, like especially if it's priced right, if they're doing everything right. It seems to me like there's this kind of like artistic responsibility to go ahead and support it. And so that's what I like to do with any artists that has, less than, like, let's say 5 or 6 pages of work. And that's kind of my standpoint on the matter.
Yeah, I can totally relate, where you just have this natural inclination to kind of champion their work. When you see someone who you feel is kind of undeservedly, for lack of a better term, ignored or passed over, shall we say. So here's a great artist, though. So L'Inquisiteur is one. And is there anything more you want to say? Is L'Inquisiteur, do you want to come up before we try another artist here? Feel free to put a request in, and we will bring you up. And you know who?
I've also, for anyone who's not able to speak, I'm operating on my computer and my phone. So if ever there's something you might want to say and you're not able to, just DM myself or Pokobelly. I'm sure he has his messages open as well.
Beautifully put, Runetoon. And yes, I do. So yes, feel free to send me a message or whatnot, and we will read it up here as well. Do you know the artist Sercle? Pronounced like Sercle?
I don't know them.
So I wonder, maybe I'll be able to find them on Twitter, but that is an artist who has been around for a long time, kind of has this, I almost want to pronounce it Serchel, and kind of has these kind of like parody pieces. They're very illustrative. Let me see if I can send this, or if I can tweet this. Anyways, a very cool artist. And I just kind of like has been around, you can tell, for a long time on the Tezos platform. And for whatever reason, it kind of reminded me of RJ a little bit, because RJ, not that long ago, seemed like he was tweeting and he'd barely get anything. And look at how well he's done. And I feel like Serchel, maybe pronounced, is one of those guys that just kind of has this kind of complete, art that's ready to go, but just doesn't necessarily have the traction. Twitter can be quite difficult to make you navigate your way through when you're not getting any traction. And I have to say, RJ was one of the most positive people I have seen, because he would just keep posting. And I was really impressed, because when I was watching him tweet a few weeks ago, and shout out RJ out there in the audience, I was just really impressed at how he would just keep going and persist. And I think that's really paid off for him.
Yeah. Say again the name of the handle for Serchel.
Oh, yeah. It's, let me go. It is Serchel.tez. I don't see a Twitter on.
Oh, okay.
Let me see if I can just dig it up here as we speak. And so remember, if nobody says anything, you must forever hold your peace on whether the artists are being covered here adequately. Serchel.tez is not even on Twitter. At a certain point, maybe that's the reason Serchel's not doing that well. I mean, and maybe they are doing well, but I think they could do fantastically. That's what I'm trying to say here. I think Serchel does just fine and has their collectors, and probably has a lot more followers than I might on Object. But I wonder if they would be kind of like have some kind of star status, so to speak, if they were just if they had the Twitter. They might not care, though. Like a lot of people have moved on from Twitter.
It's that's kind of an interesting addition to this conversation, is just sometimes I think that in the frustration of trying to find exposure and reach and stuff like that on these platforms, it's easy for people to kind of assume that the people who have kind of found their audience, found their reach, found some success are just lucky, you know, like they're strong artists, but they just got lucky. And I kind of don't like that assumption that I feel like gets kind of tossed around with certain artists because, and I really liked this tweet from Strange Thing the other day because he's been doing phenomenally well. But it was this threaded tweet, and there are all these comments, and he was kind of responding to some questions and stuff like that. And he kind of like, you know, more or less like kind of showed that he has a very good understanding of how the algorithm works on Instagram and how to work, you know, in favor of that algorithm. And so it's not like Strange Things just out there and, you know, the success is finding him. He's still having to put in a ton of work, make all these different Instagram posts, do all this work to kind of work with the algorithm and make that sort of stream of attention continue to pump. So I think it's important to keep in mind that, like, you know, sometimes that exposure and that reach, it really just comes down to, do you want to make this a full-time job for yourself and really go after it and put the content out there and reach out? You know, I know that I'm not someone who has that time, uh, unfortunately. So I can't really like take the social media side of things too seriously, but I do what I can.
I think you make a profoundly excellent point, Rune Tune, because it shows with Strange Thing that there is that, what I'd almost be tempted to call a hustler mentality, that it does make a difference. And I'm so glad you mentioned this whole idea of, do you want to do it as a full-time job? Because I kind of feel like Strange Things oeuvre, so to speak, uh, it could have easily have just been some really good AI artist on Object and makes a thousand here, a thousand there, but never really went to that next level that he seems to be going to. And I think you're absolutely right that it's just, it's kind of like I think you nailed it. It's like, do you want to do this as a full-time job? And it shows with Strange Thing that it's unambiguous. He wants to be a star. And I think that's great. And yeah, like, and I think that's the difference, you know?
More power
Yeah,
to him, you know.
absolutely, absolutely. And you know, it reminds me of like, I actually was messaging with Justin Aversano before he blew up. Like, he was, I've probably mentioned this before, but he was just sort of like, "Hey, we're early adopters," like, you know, like, and he was just, you know, fairly new as 20. I guess that was 2020. And what was so interesting about him, it was when Clubhouse had just started, and he was in every Clubhouse on NFTs that you could find, and he hustled. He really hustled, and he was from New York City, and you could tell that it's almost like, it seemed like he needed to win, because if he didn't win and get something, it was almost like, it's almost like he had burnt his bridge, so to speak, and he had to make it, and he did, and boy did he make it. So again, it's back to that, like, we always think of success as being kind of far away. Sometimes it's only like a few millimeters away, and we just are assuming it's far away.
You know, that's a very good point. And I think, you know, some of us, probably myself included, wouldn't really know what to do with this success once we got there, you know. And you kind of have to, uh, early on, I think it's important for artists to sit down, reflect, and really make a decision about what success looks like to them. And like, what, you know, you have to come up with your own definition of success. And it's this, the topic that you wanted to share today is kind of, it's a complex idea for us to be saying, you know, what is underrated or under celebrated, you know, because that might look different to a lot of different
Oh,
people.
absolutely. Yeah, I was wondering. I was actually surprised there was like zero controversy on the tweet, you know, because I thought, oh, maybe exactly, like, what does that mean? Right? Under celebrated, underrated. Like, who's to say? right? But I guess it, from my point of view, it just sort of came from, I've lived in the shadows, so to speak, for a long time as an artist, and so and that's why I'd say, like, if anybody feels like their own work they want to highlight here, the stage is open. And I was actually hoping more people would want to share artists, but I can share another one. And again, feel
Please do.
there's and just put a request to speak. Whoever has an artist that they feel, it doesn't even need to be quote unquote underrated, but just someone who you think could use a little more spotlight. However you want to phrase it. Another
I
great one that I like, who is Jasmine Varela. Let me see if I can dig up. It's Jazmin Varela on Object. Let me see if she is on Twitter here. So this is someone, and Runtune, I'm going to send you. So here she is in Sloth, actually. And yeah, here is, it almost kind of goes somewhat well with your work here, Runtune, some of it at the, here we go. Okay, I'm going to, Runtune, if I send you a link, actually, maybe,
Yeah, go
could I
right
send you a
ahead.
link?
It's funny. I know exactly who that artist is. I've collected several of Jasmine's works.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so she does
Yeah.
like what looks to me, and if you have a different idea, let me know. But it looks to me like she does these physical works, but then she turns them into these GIFs, and it's kind of like this very, broken animated kind of GIF. Like it's not a smooth, like it's more like a comic panel, like a series of 8 comic panels that have been turned into a GIF. Is that your understanding of Jasmine's work?
Yeah, and as I recall, I think she's a tattoo artist by trade. And when I first started collecting a few of her works, as I recall, it didn't look like she had been too active for some time. That may have changed. I'll have to actually take a look at her object profile and see if that's any
It
different.
does seem a little quiet, to your point.
Yeah.
And here's the work. I love this work. The one with the still life with the Superman and the choose your own adventures. Do you know that one? I'm going to see if I can figure out how to do this here.
And she also did this really wonderful series on the Zodiac. And it's really, really funny stuff. I bought the one on Cancer because I'm a Cancer. And it's just hilarious. It is absolutely hilarious. It's like these synchronized swimmers, and they're all, kind of like doing their thing, and then one of them gets kneed in the mouth and they're bleeding, and it turns into this big mess. I really wish that Jasmine was a little more. I think I even messaged her or maybe commented or something, because I wanted to kind of catch some words from the artist, but I don't think I was ever successful in getting that. Here, let me share the work that you just shared.
Oh, thank you. I totally appreciate it. And I'm very pleased to welcome Tornado and Little Cakes onto the stage. Tornado, why don't you start us off here? Where are you calling from? Are you in Argentina still?
Hi, how are you, Pocobelli? How are you,
Awesome.
Runtun? So nice to be here.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm calling from Argentina,
Beautiful.
as always.
It's so great to hear your voice, Tornado.
Oh, thanks.
And it's always great to hear from you. So, okay, so let's get into it here. I'm sure you probably have like a list, like 10 artists long here or longer. I mean, but anyways, who do you think? And if you have any thoughts on what we've been saying in general about the hustle and everything, so just share your thoughts here. Do you have an artist you want to share, or any thoughts on what we're discussing here?
Yes, I have some thoughts about what you were discussing. I want to say that Jasmine Varela, is an Argentinian artist, a really famous Argentinian artist. Here in Argentina, she's like a pillar of illustration.
Oh, really? She seems like a professional to me.
Yes.
Yes,
she's
okay. So
she's the real deal.
She's not obscure then. Only in my world.
No, in the NFTs, she's like today she's not active. I think in some weeks she will be like coming back.
Oh, cool.
That's all I know.
Uh-huh.
But yes,
Well, Tornado,
yes,
if you know Yasmin, you gotta let them know that there's probably a very ripe audience waiting for
yeah.
them on
I
Object.
I do that, you know. I take the time to say
Yeah.
that. But I don't know. She needed some time off, and I think that's okay. I get it.
Totally. Yeah, the NFT space and the whole, even just the Twitter experience can turn into it can consume a lot of your time. It can consume a lot of your imagination and everything. It's always a challenge, actually, because it's kind of interesting. I mean, like we were just discussing how, Strange Thing and Justin Aversano, how they do reach success by really, hitting it hard, as well as Instagram and whatever else. But yeah, at the same time, it's a real decision you got to make at a certain point. I mean, how about for yourself, Tornado? I mean, how do you approach how much, like, do you put out a work a day, like even if it's old work on Twitter, or how often do you post your work?
Yeah, my work all days.
Oh, you do?
I'm all the time. Yes, I'm on. No, like a drop.
No, like
No,
just
no,
like here's
no, every
just
day.
posting a work. It could be 2 years old, 5 years old.
Yeah, I do that every day.
Well,
Yeah, I do that every day. I take the time to be on Twitter every day. I try to speak with people every day. I really like this vibe. You see, in like before NFTs, I was drawing, I was illustrating, but I wasn't like, I don't know, I wasn't getting like any feedback, or I wasn't finding a place. And here I find it. So I take the time to do it every day. I'm full-time NFTs now.
That is awesome. And yeah, to your
Yeah.
point, it's so easy to take it for granted that there's other people that just want to see that are connected to your work somehow, even if it's just scrolling past you on Twitter. Because as
Yeah.
artists, I mean, a lot of us, we're doing physical art with almost zero, like the dedication that requires, that most of the people in this audience have done, where you're working in a room where nobody is paying attention to you and nobody is seeing your work, right? I mean, so this is a real godsend, as we've said many times here, to have this connection where other people can see, comment, retweet, buy your work.
Yeah, it's totally different for me. Before this, there was like Instagram or Tumblr, and now is where I'm getting to know people, and my work is being seen. So I'm really enjoying NFTs a lot.
I totally sympathize with you. And again, like I look at Runetoon's story here, where he puts out really next level work, and he gets rewarded for it. Like, I mean, you really can't ask, like, even like, again, 5 years ago, you do that in your studio. You don't get any feedback. You're not even sure. We're almost the worst judges of our own work at the end of the day. So anyway, before we move on to Little Cakes Tornado, name some artists for us. Are there? I mean, you again have just such a. I feel like you have a really deep understanding from our brief communications of artists out there. Maybe tell us a little bit more about Yasmin and any other artists that you feel could use a little more attention.
Well, about Jazmín, for me, she is like truly a pillar of illustration in Argentina. Like, for real. Jazmín, María Victoria Rodríguez, I don't know if you heard about María Victoria. She's, I think you may have heard her, but
It's possible.
because, yeah, but when I say it like in Spanish, I think you maybe don't get who
Sure.
she is, but María Victoria now lives in Berlin.
Oh, Berlin.
But yeah, she lives in
And
Berlin. She's amazing.
and
It's
And
amazing.
is she a friend of yours, or is she an artist that you really like?
Yes,
What's the why do you bring her up?
because she's also an
Okay.
Argentinian, and her and Jasmine in Argentina were like the famous one,
So
you
they are
know?
famous.
Yeah, yeah. In the illustration community, yes, they are. Because they have been working in illustration for a long time, doing a lot of work, have a lot of followers in Instagram, all the time, like doing like workshops, and so they are like big names here in
That is
Argentina.
so funny. I mean, it just goes to show that there are
Yeah.
so many people that you don't know about. Because for me, I was like, oh, here's a good obscure artist.
Well, no,
Yeah,
she's been
exactly.
doing this like for a long time. I think she has, Jasmine has done works for Adidas and big branding.
Yeah, here's like this guy who's like barely known, and apart from a small Twitter community, saying, "Hey, I found someone who's obscure." Anyways, the irony is,
Well, it's
Yeah.
easy to do that though.
well, totally. I mean, there's so many like artists out there, right? I mean, and this is kind of part of
It
what
is.
this show is about, in a sense, is discoverability and just discovering new artists. It is the big challenge. Whether it's music or visual art or you name it, it's really it's not that easy in a sense to find these things. I mean, I kind of happened to bring it up here,
No,
so
it's
we're
not.
talking about her. So it almost shows that being obscure or famous is almost a relative term relative to which community, right?
Yeah, I
That's
think
true.
it doesn't mean anything when you enter the NFTs. For some people, it means, but it really doesn't mean. Like you have to start over. That's a good thing, I
I
think.
agree. I
Uh,
agree. And we saw that in 2021 during the big bull run when a lot of, quote unquote
yeah,
famous artists from the contemporary art scene just kind of got very little traction on Twitter. And yeah, and then I had friends who had galleries that represented them. And they were like messaging me, like, how do I do this? Because they saw all the money that was being made. And I have no problem with that, but they found it really hard to get traction. And it's really hard to parachute in and be successful, in a sense, in this scene. I think you really have to spend some time. You kind of got to earn it to a certain degree.
yeah, I think it's that way. When I started here, then Jasmine and Maria Victoria started, and I was teaching them how to do things. For me, it was like, what? These are like my idols. What is happening?
That is so cool.
it was it was really amazing. So I'm waiting for them to come back. I think they will be coming back here. I think Maria Victoria is doing like some things, but I'm really waiting for Jasmine. I wanna see what she's doing because Jasmine is always like reinventing. For example, Runtun said she's a tattoo artist. Well, she's not. Then she started like tattooing and became good, but she was already like a big illustrator.
Oh,
So she no longer does tattoos.
Yeah, I think she does, but it was something that came up on the way. She was already doing drawings and doing big brands and doing a lot of work.
okay, excellent. So, do you have any other artists
So,
before we
yeah,
move on to Little Cakes? And please stay on stage because we may need your help here,
yes, I will.
Tornado.
Okay.
But
I have like a artist like I'm obsessed with. I don't know why I didn't find out about this artist before. It's called Bored Me Social
oh
Club.
yeah, sure. You mentioned them the last time you were
I
on. You love
love.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love. I love. I think it's amazing. I don't know. It's catchy. I like it. I like the palette. I like the characters. I'm all about the characters and the objects and all
Mhm.
that. And every time I see it, it's like fresh. I love it. And the other day, I don't know, Bored Me Social Club did a open edition at one test, And I was like, come on, go, go collect this. It's amazing. What are you doing?
I'm looking at it right now.
Eh,
Uncomfortable Body. Is that the one?
yes, that's the one.
Yeah,
I think it's amazing.
very cool artist and kind of very
Yeah.
surreal. And it's almost like your work is quite illustrative, but I could almost see them hanging, maybe not in the same room, but maybe in the same building or something, or a show on kind of, I don't know. Did you find your work relates at all to Board Me Social Club, or do you find it quite different?
I find it like in one way is relatable. You see, I always like what I do. I think it's like bad, but I don't find like I don't feel attracted to something that is totally different of what I do.
Right.
Because I get a attraction to something that I don't know vibes with me, something that makes me think about what can I do better or different. So yeah, I think we have like something there.
Absolutely, and yeah, I mean, I think it makes perfect sense. Whatever's exciting you in your work, it makes perfect sense that you'd be excited about someone else doing kind of similar or just analogous things in their work or work that reminds you of what you're excited about. So, are there any other artists that you'd like to mention before we go to Little Cakes?
Keep in mind, everybody, that there's some people who can't speak right now, so there's a lot of names being dropped in the comments. I shared MechDuckTXT's comments in our spaces.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. And actually, we did hear from a couple of, quite a few artists here. Thank you, Runetoon, for showing, and Human Boy mentioned, and L'Inquisiteur. I can't speak at the moment. I can just listen. Thanks for the light on me. You're more than welcome, L'Inquisiteur. Burnsy Witch. Sorry, Tornado. Any other artists you'd like to mention?
Sorry. Yes, I would like to give a shout out to La Delmas, who dropped yesterday on Object and hasn't been around for a long time. And I know I speak from all Argentinians. We were missing her, so I think you should check out La Delmas.
How do you spell that? L-A?
Ladel.
E-E-L? Yeah.
M-A-S.
La Delmas.
La Delmas.
Okay, very cool. I found it. Oh, cool.
Another pillar
I know
of
them.
Argentinian illustration.
Yeah, very cool. I love the McDonald's piece here.
Yeah.
Is that new? Yeah, that just came out like yesterday. Wow, and already at 975 Tez on secondary. That is a very nice piece. Yeah, okay. This is great. So new discoveries being made here all the time.
Happy to help.
Yeah, you're doing awesome here. You're doing awesome. Okay, let's turn to Little Cakes. And Little Cakes, how are you doing? Where are you calling from?
Hi, thanks for letting me talk for a little bit. I'm in New York State.
Oh.
A little bit away from the city.
Awesome. Yeah, well, it's my pleasure, Little Cakes. And you sound just like your AI-generated song from the other day.
So I just wanted to, I guess, suggest one of my favorite artists to collect that whenever they drop something like lately, I'm always going, I don't have enough Tez for it. But it's Moeshit, MOESHIT / they're an artist.
Someone in the comments was sharing that name as well. Yeah, Dead Maryland's
very cool.
Highlight that artist.
They're an artist from Turkey, and they make like cute but ironic and sort of angry, naive work. And sometimes it's pixels, and sometimes it's like digital drawing. I've also seen some pencil drawings that are really amazing. And they're also a musician. They have music that's up on Spotify and like YouTube and stuff that I've heard before that is just really like cool in the sort of like punk / folk, like maybe like underground kind of way. And I don't know, like they just, the whole world that they have, like the Mo Shit world, is just really like awesome. And so I just wanted to suggest that people follow them and check them out.
Well, and I mean, I almost don't even want to say it, but they have a whole bunch of one of ones here, and a lot are not sold. They are cheap, like 9 Tezos, 10 Tezos. I know. I mean, like this is like, I'm like, where's my Tez wallet? Do I have any Tez in my wallet? Great. And now is Mo SHIT, are they someone you discovered recently? Or have you known about them for a while? Because I just started coming across their work, like I'd say in the last couple of weeks.
I've known about them for a while. Like I'm assuming since last year, maybe. Okay. I can't remember now. Like the time sort of flies by so fast.
Well, that's for sure. And they have 24 pages of work here, so clearly.
Yeah, they're so prolific. Like, and so I don't know. Like you guys were talking about how like people are either going for it or not going for it, and I feel like Mo's been really trying to push it lately and like doing an awesome job. So.
Well, I love this, right? And you know what I love about what Mo's doing? Do you know if it's a man or a woman or?
So I remember, the reason why I said they was just because in one post somewhere, like somebody said he, and then Mo said maybe not. So I wasn't sure. So I don't know if I should be saying he or they.
I guess we say.
Well, one thing that
pronouns are so weird.
Yeah, I guess
one thing I've been doing is just using they for everyone.
That's the safe way to do it, and the easy route here. And you know, I also think of Mo Tucker from the Velvet Underground, the drummer, who is a woman. And so so anyways, let's go with they. But what I love about what they're doing is they're not slowing down. They're not worrying about sales too much. You know what I mean? And then I think it's really wise. Like I think it's easy to get into a mode where you say, "Oh, I'm not making any sales, so I'm not going to worry about posting anything," you know, et cetera, et cetera. But then all of a sudden there's, you know, a space and maybe 50 people are listening in. Maybe more, and all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh, look at all the one of ones," and all of a sudden 50 people are listening, and all of a sudden your page could be, you know, cleared out within a day. So I like how Mo is not overly, you know, doesn't seem to be slowing down according to sales. I mean, Françoise Gamma is another artist that does that. Doesn't worry about, you know, just keeps, you know, grinding it out. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
So that's great. So that's a great one. Do you have any others, Little Cakes?
That's the only one that sort of was just like on the tip of my tongue that I really, really like wanted to take the time to like call in about.
Well, I'm glad you did. And again, if anybody wants to join us on stage, you're more than welcome to. Just put a request to speak and we will bring you up. If you feel that there is someone out there who is a little too, you know, far in the shadows, who could use a little spotlight of just a few people here listening in and learning about them, this is a good opportunity to do that. Continue.
There is one more. So they're friends with Mo, and gosh, I'm trying to remember the handle. It's Kutu Cola, I think. Let me see if I can find it.
Feel like
it's KUTUKOLA.
Oh, I know who you're. Are you sure? Is it a Q or is it a K at the start? Q.
K.
Yeah,
sorry.
I think I know exactly who you're talking about. You know who that reminds me of, that artist? And actually how I discovered them is through Turkarak. Do you know?
Yes.
Turkarak.
Yeah.
Loved.
They're all Turkish, I think.
Oh, interesting. I mean, half the artists in this scene seem to be from Argentina and Turkey. So this is great. Yeah, so Kudu Cola, that is a great one. And there again, a one of one for 6 Tezos is the latest drop there today. And it's a pretty cool work.
Yeah, like they've been making more detailed like work I think like because in the beginning, or at least like the first few that I saw of theirs was a little bit more simple,
Yep.
and the last few have been really sort of like more detailed. So
It really, like, it is tempting to say it's evolved from where I saw it, because I haven't checked in with Kudu Kola for maybe a couple of months. And it really does seem to be going somewhere. It's kind of back to that idea. If you're just putting out a work every day or two, it can really go somewhere. Like, it's fun to see this evolution here. And yeah, Daily Day. Go ahead.
I like what you said too, Pocobelly. I think we were talking about Mo, but how certain artists, the prolificness really does attract an audience, I think. But especially when you refuse to slow down despite sales, I think that for me is a mark of a true artist.
I agree. It shows conviction. And you know what? There's almost an irony there, because, I mean, as you're saying that, I'm just thinking, like, if I put on my collector hat, I like to see that, right? Like, I like to see when someone just doesn't care about isn't overly concerned, let's put it that way, about the sales, and is just going to keep putting out their work. That kind of makes you want to collect them more and take a second, a third, and a fourth look. Right, if they keep doing that.
100%, I agree.
So there's an interesting lesson there for all of us, in that. We have a request. Thank you, Little Cakes, and by all means, stay on stage, Little Cakes. I adore your voice.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, you have a beautiful voice, Little Cakes. Just so you know.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Peepee, I am bringing you up on stage. Thank you for the request, and we are connecting here. Let's see if Peepee can connect. Peepee, welcome to the show. Where are you calling from?
Calling.
Oh, that is hilarious. I love it. I'm doing wonderful.
Hello.
Drinking a lot of beer in Bavaria.
All right. Nice. No, I just wanted to talk about one artist that I think that needs loads more of exposure, because I don't know. I think he's like I call it like combo NFT. When you add some description, some story on the NFT. I like when they do that. And his name is Pomelo, Nitro NFT Pomelo.
So if I put in Nitro
NFT Pomelo, that's his handle. And
Pomelo.
Pomelo.
Found it.
He's another artist from Argentina. Sorry,
Cool.
sorry guys.
No, all good.
But
you know what? Like, European and North American artists have had the spotlight for a very long time. So if we have too many artists from Argentina or Turkey, that is more than fine, and it is more than overdue. So that is more than welcome here.
All right, nice. Well, it was that I think that I like it because he do like animated GIF also, and I like that he tries to tell a story in each NFT he do, and I know that he's trying hard, and I would like him to do better.
Absolutely. And it looks like he, and I think it's really smart what he's doing, selling for 50 cents here. And he is making sales. And like from Walk, WOC, not a number, Louis. So this person, Lepro Chant, this person seems like they're well on their way. Walk even bought two pieces, because maybe there is some money to be made here with Walk. Pretty cool artist. I've never seen their work before. And
I think so. Yeah, I think that what you're saying is right. And you name one that I wanted to name also, that Lepro Chant. I like what he do also. And they are both from Argentina also. Yeah, I will meet them, because I talk with him and with them, and I probably meet them one day here. And I will know them better. Yeah.
Well,
I think that obviously I have more artists, but nowadays now I am a bit confused, because I am like multitasking. Like I am doing my own art. I'm listening the podcast. It's like my mind is everywhere now. So
It's
just
funny.
wanted to tell about this. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you listen to like podcasts and whatever when you make art? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, but I am a science guy. I love science, and I used to listen to like a very very profound science podcast all the time. All the time. I like Lex Friedman. I don't know how to say. I love science, so I always try to do my art listening to science podcasts. Yeah.
And do you have a favorite science podcast that you could recommend for us?
Well, there is a guy that is called Lex Friedman. I don't know if you know
Oh
him.
yeah, of course. I think very famous podcast.
Yeah. And I like him because you can tell that he studied before the podcast. The guy who's going to interview. So I think that is very interesting, and he's also a scientist. So I don't know. I like how they make it a bit clearer for the audience, like me, that I am not a scientist. So I obviously I don't understand everything that what they talk about, but I take from the podcast loads and loads of concepts, and loads of time I use them concepts to do my art or to do my the title for a piece I'm doing. I don't know. It's good. I like it.
Well, I like your art, PP. I'm looking at it now. It's PP Universal, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm happy with it. It's my job actually. I try to make it my job. So sometimes I think I upload a lot of things, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm creative, and sometimes on a rush, and sometimes no. Yeah.
And so the only man who can be called Dracula. It says that this is at the bottom, art and prompt by me, short novel by ChatGPT. So it almost looks like a physical work, though. Could you explain a little bit about it? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. It's a physical work. I do both. I do digital and physical. It's a painting I did on a canvas. I found a canvas in the street, and I take it home, and I paint it over on black, and then I did this painting of. So I actually have the painting. It's now in my wall. It's in my house.
I think the color, and there's just something about it. It almost reminds me of those. What is the name of that cult film director? I think he was out of Brazil. He had like the magician's hat, and he had these outrageous movies. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I'm not sure. No, it's a movie about Dracula or nothing to do with it.
Kind of horror would be his subject, but they were like, I think it's some of the most outrageous movies I've ever seen. Like, maybe I can find them. So anyways, but not off the top of your head. Yeah. But anyways, I love the look and feel of it. Very cool.
Yeah, it's the reference I took is the Nicolas Cage movie of Dracula. So if I show you the picture where I start drawing, it's very funny. I like that because I always start with like a reference, and then the result is like 100% different from the reference, and I like that. Not perfect things, yeah.
I love it. Yeah, well, keep it up and keep us updated. PP.
Yeah. I keep it. I give you. Sometimes I feel I am a bit annoying because I upload a lot of things, but I also like that, so I don't care. Also,
PP, you can hang out here anytime you want.
Yes.
Just come by. We're here every week. Come join the conversation.
Yeah, I just see the space and the title, and I like it, and I say, okay, I'm going in. So yeah, it's perfect. I'm going to go on listening to you and let others speak. So thanks, and have a nice day.
You. And great to hear from Argentina. I almost feel like we need to do an Argentina jam session in one of these.
Yes. Yeah, we are all over the place.
Absolutely. Yes. Martin Joe, great to see you here up on stage, and I'm sure it's going to be an awesome recommendation. Remind us, where are you calling from?
Hi guys, how you doing?
Good. It's great to hear your voice. I feel like I'm seeing you at the bar after not hanging out for 3 weeks or something.
Nice. I'm from Argentina
Oh,
too.
right. Of course you are. Of course. It is an Argentina jam session over here.
Yeah,
Yes.
it
So how are
is.
things going? Do you have any artists for us?
And yeah, first I want to let you know I just dropped an object. You can see it on my pin tweet.
Cool.
If you want, I will appreciate if you share it.
Absolutely.
And
Let's do this now. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to highlight my friend bestie Amor Lunar. She's a collage artist.
And sorry,
She
If you're able to share a work or share the handle, something for us to click and find.
yeah.
and how do you spell it again?
AMOR
Amor?
LUN
Or IN?
AR.
Okay, LU. Oh yeah, Amor Lunar. Got it, like Moon Love.
Yeah.
Amor Lunar, interesting artist here, graphic designer and collage artist, artists. Very interesting. So how did you find Amor's work?
She's a friend of mine since a lot of time.
Oh, that's great.
10 years or so. Yeah, and she started to make art like 5 years ago, and then I found NFTs and invited her to share her work.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, it's pretty cool. It seems like some of the work seemed like, I mean, it seems like collage, I guess. And I really like the one with the hourglass that's pixelated. I don't know if you know that one. Orange, it's called. And it's got a high heel and a little, that one? Yeah. Edition of 5, only 2 Tezos on secondary there. So she did sell out of that one. So that's cool. Very cool.
That's one of my favorites. Yes.
And what is it about her work that you like?
Her work, she's into art also. Mm-hmm. And one of the latest works I love it is the girl with the giant croissant.
Yeah. I see it. What is that called? Breakfast. Perfect title there. Ellen's part of the Girls Gang on Tezos Fashion Collage. Yeah, that is very nice. And so that is probably AI, I'm guessing. What do you think? Yeah, very interesting. That's great. And that is an edition of 4, already 25 Tezos. Martin Joe has it for sale for 25 on secondary. So this is sold out, though. Very cool. And do you have any other artists for us?
No, really.
Okay.
I just thought about her, and because all that I thought has been mentioned already. So Tornado and PP make most of the work I was thought to share.
Okay, well, that's awesome. And I have retweeted your recent tweet. So everybody go check out Martin Joe's new tweet there. He has just done a drop on object there. So very interesting perspective.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the work very briefly, Martin Joe, before we go on to one rad Latina? Do you want to talk about the work at all?
About my work?
It looks like it's from the Kinky Bears series. Am I correct?
Yes. I'm trying another perspective about the after party. It's a derivative by of the Playroom Party series. And this one is about one that I made with Mental Noise and Caroxaurio. Also, Caroxaurio, you can check her work. he's a great pixel artist.
Oh, I wonder if I've
From
seen it. How do you spell it?
CaroXAURI.
Caroxoreo. Got it. It's almost like Caro X Oreo. Very cool. I love the alien there.
Yeah.
Don't forget to brush with the toothbrush there. So, people. Oh, and look at Elf. You know what's funny? I was in Munich yesterday, and there was a 90s. Was it? Yeah, it was 90s trash night. And you know who they had on the poster? It was Elf. And I thought that was like the perfect. There's nothing trashier than Elf. So.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a good one. Good one. So that's caroxoreo.tez. Well, thank you, Martin Joe. That is awesome. And always great to hear from you. So do come back.
Always a pleasure, my friends.
Indeed. Enjoy the day, my friend, as well. One Rad Latina, thank you for being patient. Welcome to the show. Where are you calling from?
I'm from New York City. I'm in New York City.
Okay, you're a little quiet right now, but we did hear it.
Can you hear me better now?
Still a little quiet.
We hear ourselves.
We hear ourselves
Echoing.
Strange.
But try and talk, and we won't say too much.
Can you hear me clearer now?
Yep, but a little quiet. So if you can, yell into your phone.
I'm gonna exit and come back in. It's probably something with my Bluetooth.
Sure, no problem at all. It probably is. Use the speaker on your phone.
No, that's exactly what I'm doing. There's
you are.
a glitch with Twitter. Yeah, 1 second.
Okay, great. Tele D Space Doctor, welcome to the show. Thank you for being patient. Where are you calling from?
Well, hello there, fine party people. I am calling from almost Canada in central Maine. And I've listened to a long-time listener, first-time caller. I really like what you guys do here. It's great. But I will unmute and talk about people that I don't think get enough street cred. And the two I'll mention to keep my time short is Nanda.tez. I'll put some of these in various comments below. I really like abstract art.
Please do.
I really like abstract art. And so like the way the depth and the controlled chaos that she presents in her works amazes me. She's on Tez and Soul, and she's a Brazilian artist. Very sharp, very witty. Descriptions are beautiful. Good messaging about human type subjects in what she does is really, really good stuff.
Agreed. I mean, it's pretty interesting. Just before we move on, I mean, it's pretty interesting abstract art. How did you discover Nanda?
Just being a rambunctious hellion on Twitter mostly.
Yeah, that'll do it. I mean, there's no better way of finding artists. Really cool artist. And yeah, just let me just see. Yeah, so and actually doing okay. I mean, selling a 1 of 1 for 50 Tezos. So that's not bad at all. So interesting. And before we move to your next artist, do you make work, Tele D? And I totally recognize your profile here. I may have shown your work before and just forget.
Well, yeah, my handle is a little less radio friendly, so I won't go into it. But yeah, I am.
Oh right,
I'm on. Yeah, so my Tezos handle is what I do. I think I just kind of I don't know. I just go full Wagma and just kind of do whatever I want each day.
Yep.
To make stuff and keep myself from murdering people, I think is what my pinned quote, my pinned tweets states. But art's fun. It's my release from the grind of day-to-day life because I got a pretty busy day-to-day life. Well, so every now and then I check out and come do this.
It's a noble cause you have, Tele D. And is that your work that we see in your banner there?
No. So I'm actually highlighting the two artists that are my banner and my profile pic. I forgot which one's which.
I think the top one might be
Nanda.
Nanda. It almost looks like Nanda.
Profile. Yeah. That's the top one's Nanda. Yeah, and that's one I've got. I've got a couple of those 1-to-1s. I flip art and sell art to buy Nanda 1-to-1s, and so that's one thing.
You might as well. It sounds like good investment, good work. Well,
indeed.
And so, tell us, who's your other artist?
Naked Galena.
Naked Galena.
That's another
that one. That's a name that's been brought up a few times in the comments.
Interesting.
Yeah, good.
Naked Galena. Oh yeah, interesting. Yeah,
I think I said
you're
this
right, Rune Tune. Yeah, this person is really interesting. I want to say maybe it was Ed Marola that pasted, or someone did. Really interesting artist. Do you know anything about them, Teledi?
They are living in, I think, Greece currently, from Eastern Europe. She is, I think, primarily in oil painting, and has been doing it for a couple of decades now. And the width and depth of what she creates is amazing. She's got probably 5 different Tez accounts, all with Naked Galena, and then kind of various breakdowns of it. But there's like abstract watercolors. There's like experimental stuff. There's like I think her bread and butter oil painting works. But the thing that's always drawn me to her is the collage work. Like, she takes and does painting stuff and then cuts pieces out and makes collages of them. And I have a special place in my heart. I don't know. That was my gateway drug, was collage work into art, like creating it and not just looking at it. So I really like that. And it's another example of controlled chaos that I like.
Interesting. And so, and how did you find Naked Galena? Was that another Twitter discovery?
Yeah. So that Santiago fellow, he knows a lot of people, and he's very good at connecting you to other people that you know. It's actually how I know about you.
That's
and it's
funny.
How I know about Little Cakes.
That's the impression I get, is that he does know a lot of people. I think it was the most listened to space we ever had. It had 1,200 listens. I was like, where did all these listens come from? And that was Santiago's space. So I was like, he's working his magic over there.
Well, when you have such a he's a sandwich doctor. It always draws people to that.
Yeah.
So those are the two that really resonate with me, and I put my money where my mouth is, and I have them on my PFP and my banner, and I will get every opportunity to get and talk about them. But I'll let other people talk.
It's always important to put your money where your mouth is,
and make sure you write checks that you can cash. I have plenty of other people I can go over, but I'll step off for a bit, and if there's more time, I'll be more than happy to yap. Everyone knows I'll do that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Teledi. Those are 2 awesome discoveries here. Naked Galena is a very talented painter, and so was the other person, that great abstract artist Nanda that you mentioned. So I'm just following all these people on Object here, because at least I'll see the notifications there. And it looks like One Rad Latina is back in action. One Rad Latina, how are you doing?
Much better now that I updated my app.
Oh yeah, it sounds 10 times better.
Yes, and I get to use my headphones, which is awesome.
Yeah, great. So how are you doing? So you're calling from New York City. How are things over there?
They're nice. The weather's good, thankfully. The cold is gone, so that's the best part of being in New York right now, is that it's no longer cold.
Yeah, I can relate. I was in Toronto for 4 years, and it's not that far. It's still a little bit more north, so it's a little cooler than New York. But
yeah, it gets cold. It gets cold in Toronto. It gets really cold in New York City too.
Yeah, there's a real winter in that part of the world over there. So to help us out here, what artists do you think are underrated, underrepresented, underseen?
Well, I have 2 artists that I know. There's Frankie Funky. She's an artist out of California. She does digital illustrations, and she's really, well, actually, I shouldn't say she, I should say they, because I'm not sure how they identify themselves. And another artist that I want to give a big shout out to is Visha, an Iranian artist, and she's a tradition. They're both traditional artists. One is just a digital traditional artist, and the other one is a physical artist. They're both now in Web3, and making the rounds. And myself as well. I have to always advocate for myself. So these three amazing artists. Oh, and there's one more artist in the audience, Sierra. They also make really incredible art. They're doing a project now, I think, that's like geodes within AI, which is very cool as well. So I guess 4 artists.
Well, there's so much to jump on there. I don't know where to begin. Well, who's now that first artist? Funky, what was it? It was
Frankie Funky.
Frankie Funky. So how would we find their work? Are they on Twitter?
Oh, I'm going to put everything. I'm going to actually add them in one of the comments in your comment section.
That's a brilliant idea.
So Frankie and
feel free to do that with all the artists, because and if you know any that are on like Twitter or Object, feel free to spell out their name. Yeah. Oh, I will. You know what's crazy? I never really notice as much what blocks they're selling on, because a lot of the artists now, they're multi-chain. And then like a whole bunch of my artist community that I know personally are not on Twitter, they're on Instagram, because that's more of an image sharing platform. So a lot of us are still using it to share images and videos because it's a little difficult to do that on this platform. But these 3 artists that let me just add myself as well. Why not? I know for sure are within the Web3 space and are also, I'm not sure if Jujuma is also a traditional artist outside of Web3, but I do like their work a lot, especially this geode stuff that they're doing, because as a traditional artist, I've also come to embrace AI. So I always like to see whenever artists are using it. And I just put them in the comments right now. Okay, awesome. So we can take a look and talk about a little bit about this geo and AI. Like, do you mean like geography? Like, what are? Oh,
geode. I'm sorry, I have a bit of a cold, so I'm a little stuffy. Geode, like rocks. So Sierra, she's in the audience. They're in the audience, and they make they're doing something with fashion, I think, where it's I see it on the timeline all the time, so I think it's really cool. Where the fashion is made from the geodes, so like the dresses and everything. So they use AI for that. That's why AI is such an awesome tool, because it really helps you expand your creativity. And right now, for example, I'm using AI to paint on canvases. Sometimes as a painter, I get blocks and I just don't know which way to go. So AI helps me break through those blocks in order to make physical art as well.
I think that is so cool. I mean, AI is kind of an awesome compositional tool in terms of just giving you ideas for how to make a composition. Like, is that what you're talking about?
Oh yeah, that, and a lot of people haven't really explored it for. So as artists, when you're living as an artist all the time, at least for me here in New York City, I live off grants. So I have to get art grants in order to pay my rent for my studio and eat or sell work. So So people don't understand that sometimes grant writing can take a week or 2. And with ChatGPT, I'm able to write grants in 8 hours or less.
Oh my!
Yes, and apply for more than 1 grant in a day, because I'm able. Because it even makes the budget for you. That's what I really like about it. That I applied for a grant in New York City. It's called Anonymous is Not a Woman, and it's for an environmental art grant. And it would have taken me days to write that grant, especially with the budget. I'm terrible at math. And it was able to break down the budget for me within the range of what the grant was. And it was just it even put it in a format that I could put it on an Excel sheet. It was so crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was so happy
that is
I
the
didn't
most
have to do all that
hilarious
work.
thing I've heard in a while. That I mean, now the grant writers are going to be out of a job soon, not just the copy editors.
Oh, poor them. I'm sorry, but it's
No.
I feel for. You know how it is when you're an artist. There's so many hurdles for you to be able to
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't afford, or at least artists can't afford to pay for someone to write their grant, for them anyways.
No.
Save it for the movie people, but yeah, so I just think that's hilarious. I mean, sometimes I call this alpha for artists over here, what we're doing. So you just provided some pretty big alpha for the people that do the grants. That is pretty hilarious.
Oh, Visha, one of the artists that I mentioned, she's in the audience. She's the Iranian artist. I just wanted to give her a shout out. I want to give a shout out to any artist from Iran, especially the women who are, working so hard to even create in a place where they can hardly exist. So she's in the audience. Just wanted to give her a shout out.
Shout out to Vishay, and I see you sending the hearts. I've just given you a follow. And Vishay, if you want to join us on stage here, we're going to wrap up pretty soon, but feel free to put a request to speak. I'll actually invite you to speak here. And feel free to join us up on stage if you want to say a few words. And so this is very exciting, and this is why we love to do this here, this really social thing. And One Rad Latina, and I see those. So you gave some links there to some of these artists that are here. So thank you. Any other comments here? That was fantastic, really interesting. Do you show your work in New York?
Yes, I do show my work in New York. I also do graffiti and murals. So I have like murals. I have some things I'm working on right now where I'm restoring a mural of an artist who passed away. I also have like some pieces up at a gallery. There's a couple of things coming up. I'm always kind of working.
Of course,
I guess.
You gotta be.
Oh, I wanted to. Yes, because then I won't eat.
Yeah,
That's
in
what
New York
happens.
City, there's no time to rest. I don't think.
No, there really isn't. I have a cold right now, and I decided that I was supposed to go paint the restoration, and I can't because I'm sick, obviously, and I don't want to get other people sick. So I stayed home and painted instead because it's like an obsession, a compulsion. But I also thought about like Frida Kahlo made her best work when she was sick, and she was like always sick.
Great.
So I was like,
Great point and great story. And guess who joined us on stage? It's Visha. I don't know, calling from Iran, perhaps. Visha, welcome to the show. Where are you calling from?
Hello. How are you?
We're doing great.
Big shout out to Bara. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, this is great, and it's great to have you here. Do you want to speak about your work at all? We have recently just heard about you and are discovering your work as we speak. Do you want to speak about what you're up to as an artist?
Oh, yes, thank you so much. I'm surprised. And yes, let me give you a brief introduction about myself.
Sorry, not too long, but yeah, go for it. Go.
Okay. I started art since 2011, and after that I studied Islamic art, branch of Persian painting and contemporary art simultaneously, and continued my education in Master of Arts Research. And since 2014 till now, I mostly focused on video art and performance and short films. Before that, I used various kind of media from Persian painting, photography, and other stuff. And yes, now I have some collections and objects from different styles of my works, and also some of my video and performances are on Foundation. And yes, I will add more of my work soon on the other platforms. I don't know what. Thank you so much for giving me time.
Well, thank you for joining us. And again, everybody go give Visha a follow if you can. Again, woman artist out of Iran. So that is super cool. I love how international these shows are. It just kind of boggles my mind. As we're wrapping up here, we have Roberto Salazar. Big shout out, Roberto. Welcome to the stage. Where are you calling from?
Hey, hi, Adrian. I'm from Mexico. Yeah, I'm calling from Mexico. Yeah.
Awesome. So tell us, what artists out there do you think are underrepresented or underrated or unseen?
Well, there's many. Like in general, I just feel that complexity is just very difficult to express via Twitter and to make it surface against this huge blanket of noise. So in general, I would say that it's a little bit of it's very difficult to express nuance. In this space.
As an artist yourself, you're saying it's hard to break through the noise.
Yeah, and to express more complex ideas also, you know.
Oh, I totally know what you mean. I mean, you know what's interesting is like on Twitter, I didn't really do well at all until I started video because I think it's really to your point, like all the nuance
Yeah.
is it's a very lo-fi medium. Twitter. I
Yes.
mean, it's a few words, right? And
Yeah.
then you have a profile picture and a couple of words for your name. I mean, you really don't have much to go on. And so if you're trying to express nuance, as you say, good luck to you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
And do you want to give us a couple of sentences about your art? Since you're breaking through the noise a little bit here. What are you working on?
oh well, I'm just I like exploring media, right, and a little bit of philosophy about what an image is, what conforms it, you know, and also to think of images as objects, like their material dimension. So yeah, so I just started a little YouTube channel where I talk about my work. If somebody's interested, they can look at the clips.
Awesome. So everybody go there. It is Roberto. Let me just see here. It is cut off here. Roberto
Salazar.
Salazar on
Yeah.
Twitter there, and he is on the stage there. So go give Roberto a follow. And finally, we missed Dr. Version. He probably had to go to work or something. Sierra, welcome to the show. You are likely our last speaker here as we wrap up. How are you doing, and where are you calling from?
Hi, happy hump day. Today's Wednesday, right?
I don't know. I'm on vacation. Yes, it's Wednesday because we're doing the Twitter spaces. Yes, it is Wednesday.
Oh my God, it's all a blur. I am in Virginia on the East Coast in the US. Thanks for having me. One Rad Latina tagged me in a comment, and I just wanted to come up and say thanks for tagging me as, an underrated artist. I super appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think even if you're like really famous, it's never bad to be underrated, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we're all doing is so new that a lot of us are underrated just because not enough people have seen or understand what we're doing yet.
Well, yeah, and to Roberto's point that he was just making, I mean, it's pretty challenging to break through the noise. I mean, there are thousands of artists trying to get their work out there and be seen and everything. So now that you're here, I mean, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and what you're working on in a few sentences?
Yes, of course. Okay, and I'm a woman of many talents, but in a nutshell, I'm a yoga instructor, and I am big into mindfulness, crystals, meditation. I have a crystal store, and as of like the last 6 to 8 months, I've been using AI to imagine crystal-inspired fashion and furniture, create meditation visualizers, and just using the technology to get further in touch with myself, and meet lots of awesome people. So yeah, thanks for having me. This is a great space.
Well, thank you for showing up here. And so I see One Rad Latina's post here. So are you, I'm trying to connect you to, okay, so you're Juju Mama. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, in real life, I'm Sierra, but here in the Twitterverse, I'm Juju Mama because my crystal store is good juju.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I've connected the dots over here. Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us, and it's great to hear from you. Does anybody have any final thoughts here before I turn to Runtune? No final thoughts? Okay, and actually, there's one thing I wanted to mention. I saw there are a few people. Let me just very quickly here. I had it in front of me. Mikey Wilson. We had a few people just as we wrap up here. A lot of people posted in the comments here. Dead Maryland's said Dima Tkachenko, who I'm giving a follow to, Blood 281, who I think I've seen Blood 281's work recently. Rizatio said Nyark 1, Rinny Fish, no stranger around here, Pablo 5K, and Shirkle, not Circle, Shirkle. And also Retro Manny said Brave Pixel and Fendel Mark. And Mech.txt said Lubidol Blizna, M. Singali, Son of Stag, and Dika Primawan. And finally, Teledi, Billion NFT, Bezek Kalhayo, and Nan Denadim. So all the links to these artists are in the comments of this space here. And McBreezy also, Ziris James NFT, Ozon Aya, and BGFDEL 92. And more. I could probably keep going here, and Human Boy Zubiz XXX. So there we have it. What a wonderful way to just learn about new artists. As far as a social proof is concerned, there's no better way to learn about artists than from other artists. And so with that, Runetoon, do you have any final thoughts for us as we finish up a 90-minute segment here on underrepresented artists?
Yes, I just wanted to throw out one last name, which is Wasteman Goldminovich. I was wondering if someone else might bring it up without me. I meant to talk about him earlier in the show, but our conversation took us elsewhere. I was hoping to see him in the audience, but I talked to him earlier before this show, and it seemed like he was having a hard time getting a hold of a phone. He's my most collected artist. He touches down on a lot of the themes we've been talking about, which is being prolific and not letting sales or, reach keep you from being prolific. He makes art that I think of in my head as back of the classroom artwork. Love his humor, love his authenticity. Just wanted to throw that one last name out there.
Great mention. I mean, his Failed Artist series is one of my all-time favorites, actually. Same. Yeah, like with the fry guy, and the fries are everywhere. The ketchup is everywhere. Our Milk, I want to bring you on, but I have to run because there are people that want me to go to a Bavarian beer hall, beer garden, as they call it out here. We're going to have to wait on that. But other than that, I think that's it, everyone. So thank you, everybody, for sharing. And looking forward to next time. We're here every week. And big thank you to everybody that came on stage, to everybody listening, and especially to Runetoon. Until next time, take care.